بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم أما بعد. So we finished alhamdulillah the talk about the makhārij, and now we move on to Ṣifāt. So in the very beginning we said that tajweed is to pronounce every letter from its makhārij along with its Ṣifāt. So we covered half of the essentials of tajweed, and now the rest of the kitab is going to be talking about Ṣifāt in different ways, different groupings, inshallah. So the first thing we need to understand is that Ṣifāt is broken into two categories. Ṣifāt means qualities, the qualities of letters. Qualities. متضادة and غير متضادة. You guys remember what this means? Yeah. متضادة means you could say pairs even, but it is actually opposites. And then no pairs. So we've already discussed all of these before. We're just gonna go over them again. So who remembers how many pairs there were? Sorry? 4 pairs. That is correct. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4 pairs is going to be the first one, al-jahr / al-hams. Number 2, second pair, is actually not really a pair because there's a in between, so it's like 3, but essentially they call it a pair. Ash-shidda, al-rakhawa, al-bayniyya. A little bit more space. Al-bayniyya. Okay. Then we have al-isti'la wal-istifal. So write the numbers after. Al-isti'la and al-istifal. The third pair. And the last pair, al-itbaq and al-infitah. Okay. So these, as you can see, these are all different Ṣifāt. However, they come in pairs. What it means to come in a pair is that every single letter in the Arabic language will have one of these 4. But it cannot have all within that category. It can only have one within each category. So, for instance, alif will have either jahar or hams, and then it will have either one of these, or one of these, or one of these. It cannot have 2 because they're opposites. It cannot have both. So every single letter in the Arabic language will have one from each of these 4, and it cannot have all from each section. Does everyone understand? Cannot have. It cannot have both. Cannot have all 3 here. Both. It has to have one from each section, but it must have all 4. Every single letter in the Arabic language. Now, we have other attributes that are not like this. I'm going to write those on the board, inshallah. And we have 8 of them. One is al-ghunna. I'll write the numbers this way. So I'm going here. Al-ghunna. Just hold this here. Actually, Ghunna is the last one, so let's change that. As-Safir, Al-Qalqala, Al-Din, Al-Inhiraf, Al-Takrir, Al-Tafashi, Al-Istitana, and Al-Ghunna. Okay, so those are the ones that don't have pairs. Now, what does it mean that there's no pairs? First of all, it's not that every letter in the Arabic language needs to have these 8. Some Arabic letters will have some of them. Some of these are only for one letter. So it's not that every single letter has to have this quality. Only 3 letters have this quality. And there's no opposite. So if you don't have this quality, there's no name for that. It's just not Safir. Qalqala, who knows the letters of Qalqala? Qutbu Jadin. Yeah, Qutbu Jadin. So other than those 5, you just say it's not Qalqala. You don't really have a name for it. Unlike these, you have names for the opposites. And those 5 letters have qalqala. Other than those 5 letters, there's no other letter of qalqala. So these are a little bit different in that it's not that you have to have one or the other. It's not that a letter has to have each one of them. So these are like separate. They've separated these qualities and attributes. So this is how they arrange the different sifat. These are quite important because these deal are more intricate in how you pronounce them. Some of these are, some a little bit less. Some, they kind of automatically come inside your pronunciation. So we're going to start talking about these first, the ones that have opposites or pairs. Mutadada actually means opposites, but they come in pairs. Opposites. All right. So inshallah, we're going to start talking about that. I'm going to erase the board, and we're going to start with this, the first one there. All right. Does everyone have that? Anyone want to take a moment to write? I think some of them, you guys are done writing. And I know in the definition of tajweed, it says that tajweed is knowing the makhārij with the Ṣifāt. There's actually more to it than that even, because part of the science of tajweed, we kind of enter into it another science, which is ma'rifatul wuqūf, knowing how to stop. It's like put into the tajweed book. So you don't have like a separate book for how to stop. So that's kind of now merged with the science of tajweed. Otherwise, the actual science of tajweed is just how to pronounce letters, not knowing how to, not the stopping part. But that's, included in the science now. So now we're starting with the Ṣifāt Mutadada, opposing qualities. And the first one is called Jahar. Write it here for the sake of ease. Jahar. All right. Actually, let's do the opposite because the acronym is for the opposite, not for Jahar. acronym is going to be for humps. So it's easier to do humps. Who remembers the acronym for humps? فحثه شخص سكت. Are you reading your notes? Okay. But remembering means that it comes from the memory. I'm just messing, but I wanted to see who knew it from memory. فحثه شخص سكت. So you guys have to memorize this. فحثه شخص سكت. And the way it's written in the book is سكت فحثه شخص, which is the same thing. سكت فحثه شخص. Who remembers what this means? What is the meaning of this? سكت فحثه يا شخص. شخص. The middle word? Okay. So it means he was quiet. So someone encouraged him. Right. That's what it actually means. And traditionally the scholars of Tajweed, they had it this way. Sakata fahathahu shakhsun. Why did this one become famous? It's because in the poem of Imam Ibn al-Jazari that goes over Tajweed, which is really famous, in order to retain the poetic meter, he had to switch fahathahu, he had to bring it forward. So from the middle, he brought it forward, so the poetic meter could be retained. It rhymes that way. And if he didn't have it that way, it wouldn't rhyme, and then his poem would be kind of messed up. So the original acronym is this one. You can learn either, whatever works for you. And if you have Jazariya memorized, it's easier to say فَحَثَّهُ شَخْصٌ سَكَتَ. Now, what is this attribute of al-hams? We have 5 minutes. So the attribute of hams, I'm going to read from the book. He says, it is suppression in hearing as a result of the separation of the two vocal cords without their vibration, and an abundant flow of breath. What does that mean? So essentially, these letters, they aren't very striking in the loudness of how they sound. There's a lot of flow of breath, and the main quality that you'll notice is that there is no vibration of the throat. So we could say flow of breath due to no vibration of the throat. Of the throat. All right. So if you pronounce each one of these letters and you hold it and you put your hand on your throat, you'll notice that there is no vibration of the throat. So if you say, you shouldn't feel anything in your throat. If you say, but the kaf and ta, you should feel something. So everyone try that. Put your hand on your throat and say, you should not be feeling any vibration. Now, if you say a different letter, let's say any letter of the opposite quality, which is jahar, for instance, that could be lam. There should be a soft vibration. If you say qaf, when you say the qaf, there should be some feeling of a vibration. If you say noon, should be a slight vibration. If you hold it, you should feel a slight vibration. So all the letters besides these, if you say them, there's a vibration of the throat. With these letters, there's no vibration of the throat. So the result is that the breath will flow, and it'll sound like a very a light sound. So I'm going to read the translation again. It says, a suppression in hearing as a result of the separation of the two vocal cords without their vibration, and an abundant flow of breath. So it's a very flowy, these are flowy letters, if you will. And humps in the Arabic language means to whisper. So we could call it whispering because when you whisper, there's a lot of flowing of the breath, if you will. Like there's a lot of ha there, ha there. So the whispered letters. Okay. The next quality which opposes this one is called jahr, the opposite. Jahr. Now, what is the acronym for jahr? Yeah, some people have made an acronym. I have a book with it, so I'll try to bring that next time. But it's essentially every other letter. Because it's opposites, and every single letter in the Arabic language will either be humps or jahr. Since you have already highlighted what is humps, now everything else is jahr. So the easiest way for you to know what is going to be humps is memorize the acronym. And the easiest way for you to know what is jahr is memorize the acronym. Because you'll read the acronym again and then you'll see, okay, this is not part of the acronym, it's jahr. Or it is part of the acronym, thus it's humps. So that is how we determine that. That is why everyone should memorize this. If you are to be tested or anything, all you have to do is say the acronym and you will basically know. It's very easy. The scholars of Tajweed made it really easy for us by giving us these acronyms. And that applies for all 4 sets. They have acronyms for each one. And the opposite, they don't have an acronym for it because simply you just don't have to say it. So next time we'll start with jahr. Inshallah, next week we'll start a little bit earlier since the time is coming down for Salatul Isha. But I want everyone to learn this one. Choose which one. If you have memorized Jazariya, like I said, this is easier for you. And if you want to do this, this one's easy. Also, if you intend to memorize the Muqaddimah of Ibn al-Jazari, then memorize this one. This is the one that I know, that I use. But this is the more accurate one historically. So it's up to you. But those of you who are like planning that you want to become hafiz, you want to get riwayat hafs and stuff, it'll probably be easier for you to do this one because it's in Jazariya. We're going to pause here, inshallah. Wa sallallahu tabarak wa ta'ala ala khayri khalqi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.